Lexington's MLK Celebration is coming, the snow removal plan, and the Friends of the Senior Center. Welcome to Lexington Now for January 13th, 2020. I'm your host, Neil Noah. Lexington's annual celebration in March in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is coming, and we caught up with one of the organizers to get a preview. Here's Chester Grundy.
Well, it is one of the longest running MLK celebrations in the country. And one of the things that I think is striking about this celebration is that this celebration actually started well before the federal legislation that established Dr. King's birthday as a national holiday. Started back in the early 1970s on the UK campus, and at that time it was a small candlelit march that maybe drew 40, 50 people, always culminated in Memorial Hall with a local speaker. But from that point, the celebration under the leadership of Dr. William Parker became a partnership with the city. In the early 80s, I think, became a partnership with the city, and at that level, we could bring in national speakers, began to draw a number of participants from the community, and kind of the rest is history. It's grown, it's evolved. It's become a major feature in the city's cultural calendar each year. And it truly is what I would call a citywide celebration. Draws people from all over the region, all walks of life. Probably the most diverse, the most well-attended community event that I'm aware of. Well, this year we try to, in keeping with our tradition of presenting high caliber speakers and high quality artists, we will present Reverend Delman Coates, who is the senior pastor of Mount Enon Baptist Church in Clinton, Maryland. Reverend Coates is known for his commitment to social activism, social justice, and has been recognized in a number of circles as a major player in kind of advancing the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. He'll be coupled with an artist, and we're really excited about the opportunity to bring back to Lexington Donnie Johnson, who is a resident of Lexington, at least was born in Lexington, but moved away to Atlanta at a very early age. He's a cousin of Marvin Gaye, although he never met Marvin, but he's very much influenced by the music of Marvin Gaye, Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder. So it's not only an opportunity to create a homecoming for this wonderful artist, but his music and his art really is reflective of a music that advances social consciousness, human uplift, and I'm just really excited about the opportunity to bring him back home before a big audience. There's also the Unity Breakfast, which is also a long-standing celebration, and that'll happen at, again, at the Patterson Ballroom. Starts, I think, at 6:30 a.m. and is sponsored by the graduate chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha, and always has a huge turnout. Later in the day, there'll be a film presented at Kentucky Theater that's sponsored by One World Films, and they've chosen to show the Academy Award-winning movie Green Book. Even later in the day, there'll be a presentation at the Lyric Theater by Whit Whitaker, who is the executive director, and he's going to do a rendition of probably the most popular of Dr. King's speeches, the I Have a Dream speech, which was rendered in 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial. People need to show up at I would say 9:30 or so in front of Heritage Hall, because the march will start promptly at 10 o'clock. Will last about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then people will reassemble at Heritage Hall and prepare for the program, which starts at 11 a.m. I think it's important that people understand that in celebrating the birthday of Martin Luther King, we're celebrating the ideal that's represented by the life and the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., not the individual. And I think that's really important because I think now more than ever, we need to be mindful and take advantage of opportunities that give us the chance to celebrate the best that is within us. And I think that's what is represented by the life of Martin Luther King Jr. It's a celebration and an elevation of principles like brotherhood, equity, peace, social justice. So I think that's, that's the bedrock of democracy. And I think that's what we have an opportunity to do when we participate in an event like this.
Winter weather in central Kentucky can be truly unpredictable, but one thing that is sure to come sooner or later is snow and ice, and the city is prepared with its snow plan. Rob Allen tells us all about it.
The snow plan helps us prioritize how we clear our streets and roads after we get freezing precipitation. What it does is it ranks our roads by traffic count and facilities. For example, a rank 1 road would be Nicholasville Road, which has both UK Hospital and Central Baptist, Fayette Mall. It's got a huge traffic count of probably 50,000 cars a day. And then an example of a rank 4 road would be Cindy Blair in Stonewall neighborhood, which is the main one of the main roads, and it has a lower traffic count but still significant, and is within a half mile of most of the residences. Some other ranking criteria: school bus routes, Lexington routes. We take care of state roads inside New Circle, so everything inside New Circle is city maintenance. Outside of New Circle and Man of War, it's divided up between the county and the state. For example, the state takes care of New Circle, they take care of the interstate. When we get to the rural roads, some of them are state routes and some of them are city routes. Our snow plan is designed to be completed 36 hours after the snowfall ends. So typically we start with a rank 1 road and we proceed through the ranks, executing the plan. Sometimes we start with rank 4 and work backwards. Usually that's like if it starts to snow during rush hour and we've already put out salt on the rank 1s, we'll start in the neighborhoods to try and get folks out. Most of the snow events are 0 to 3 inches. We execute the first part of the plan. If it's 3 to 8 inches, then we add additional streets in the neighborhoods. And if it's 8 inches or more, you're talking all hands on deck. We'll have to bring in contractors, and we try to get every road that we can get a truck down. We constantly monitor the weather. We have half of the division on call at any one time, and we try to take a proactive approach, whether it's putting down salt brine ahead of time or having people loaded and ready to go if, for example, it goes from rain into snow, being able to salt bridges and hills. Salt only works to about 25 degrees. Any lower than that, then we have to start using chemical additives. The other element is there needs to be traffic to turn the salt into a brine solution. And what we're trying to accomplish is to keep ice and snow from bonding to the asphalt. Our new salt barn actually doubles our capacity. It's a 7,000 ton salt barn. This one will hold 3,000 tons. An average year we use 12,000, and so our goal was to have almost 100% undercover. So we certainly try to have a certain amount of salt on hand. Typically we will have around 6,000 tons left over from the previous year if we're lucky, anywhere from 2 to 6, and then we try to keep on hand at any one time, 3,000 to 6,000. Every year we do reevaluate the snow plan. The best case scenario is you talk to your council person, and we meet with them annually as we meet with Fayette County Public Schools and Lextran and UK, all the major stakeholders. What folks need to realize is we have finite resources, however, so if we add a road, we may have to take off a road. People that are interested in more detail for the snow plan can access it at lexingtonky.gov/snow plan, and there's a lot more detail in there.
When we come back, the Friends of the Senior Center.
Nobody knows why firemen are firemen. Not even they could tell you why. But it is time somebody tried. Firefighting is the most risky of all dead-end jobs, yet also the one where most workers are most likely to punch in early. It's hard enough to believe that, it's impossible to explain it. Fire and ice are uncomfortable separately or together. Wives hate the hours, kids love the noise, fire and ice. Any day at the firehouse, the bell from hell puts the dispatcher on the horn with a tenement tinderbox address, into bunker pants, rubber turnout coat, grab the mask and go. Minutes later, you're on site. As others run out, you go in. You'll need all you can carry. The 4-pound axe, a 6-foot hook, the Halligan pry bar. The ceiling concealing the smoldering has to come down, and it's one of those stubborn tin ones. In the scary dark, with heat eating your ears, you are gouging out and tearing loose and pulling apart, gulping air and tasting black. Your windpipe is closing and you've lost track of which way is out. Is it really worth it? Then there's that night another engine company gets there first. You see this wet-eared Wookiee hot-dogging ahead. His academy boots are still shiny. You lose him inside the crackling dark. You forget about him until your helmet warning bell says, get out. The battalion chief is calling you off. You get out. The other guy didn't. That day, we lost 2. Oh yes, firemen cry, but only briefly. The intercom barks again. This time it's a warehouse, a big fat multiple blaze, probably torched. On-site engine men draped with icicles, dragging a 3/4 pre-connect froze hose, are waiting for your big line. Laddermen can't make the building without you. Search, rescue, ventilate. Behind graffiti-fouled walls, you saved what you could, but the raging blaze that wanted to consume adjacent buildings did not, because you were there. Back at the firehouse before cleanup, you and the guys sit a spell, tired but stimulated, drinking coffee, laughing, feeling good about one another. Nobody outside your world can ever know this feeling, and you're doubting even God knows why. You're out of the shower now. Most of the grime and some of the cynicism are down the drain when you hear a strangely familiar voice saying, "It is worth it. It is worth it."
Welcome back to Lexington Now. The Senior Center is a wildly popular spot for older citizens, offering a variety of activities for varied interests. But you can help make it even better. Here's how.
Hi, my name is Gail Reese, and I am representing the Friends of the Lexington Senior Center. We're a relatively new nonprofit, a 501c3, whose mission is to fill the gap between the city's budget and our beautiful senior center already has, and what we may need in the future. We have 2 funds set up at the Bluegrass Community Foundation, and we will accept any gift any kind of way. You can give us something by credit card, you could give us stock, you could give us an IRA distribution, insurance. You can basically give us anything and we'll work it out. The Senior Center has made a tremendous difference to the people of Fayette County and Lexington. Our numbers have grown exponentially since we moved to the new center. It is a state-of-the-art center thanks to the staff and the design of it and all the people who are attending. We are a wonderful mix and diversity of people, and we want to continue through the years, but we do need funding to make sure that all the treadmills are kept up to date, the buildings kept up to date, so we're asking for your support. You can go online at LexingtonSeniorCenterFriends.org and go to the donate page. You can go to Bluegrass Community Foundation and look for Friends of the Lexington Senior Center, or you can drop by the Senior Center and just give us a check. We would certainly appreciate it. 501c3, everything's tax deductible. Thank you.
Our E911 operations are already a widely respected part of public safety in Lexington, but that recognition was recently extended to the global level with the prestigious accreditation.
Lexington undertook the accreditation process 3 years ago through CALEA, which stands for the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. They've developed a body of standards in conjunction with the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials International, or APCO, and these are the highest standards for public safety telecommunications in the country. Our reasons for doing so is so that we could be the best possible 911 center that we could be. And we knew that we needed to look at a set of outside body of standards to measure against, and CALEA provided that opportunity.
We had to become compliant with 213 standards, which initially required a phase called the self-assessment phase. And so we successfully completed that phase, which required us to develop some policies and procedures for the agency that were conducive with the way that we do things here in Lexington. And we were able to do that. And after submitting the policies and procedures and letting our employees know about the policy and procedure changes, and working within the policies and procedures, of course, to make sure that they were doable.
For example, if we have a policy there's a standard that requires us to have an organizational chart, and in that standard we're required to keep it up to date, and we're required to publish it out to our employees so they can look at it at any time. So, for example, it's on the wall behind you, it's on the computers that each of our workers has in front of them. So the purpose of that standard is not only do you understand how the whole organization fits together, but you can see your chain of command. So a call taker knows which supervisor they report to, who that supervisor's manager is, and where they fall in that chain leading up to my position.
We were pretty well on our way. There wasn't a lot of changes that needed to be made necessarily, just some tweaking, just showing. We were already doing most of the standards. However, proving that we're doing the standards and showing the documentation to prove that we're actually doing that. And so from here on out, that is what we will have to continue to do in order to remain accredited.
You know, I'm very proud of our organization because this was, although it's a highly administrative process, it required a lot of change for our people. And I think our people really got into this together and accepted the fact that we needed to be the best we could. And they've adapted to all these changes, and we really hit them with a lot of changes in a short period of time. And that's hard on the employee, and I recognize that. So I admire them and their ability to adapt. And then also for Ms. Patton for her ability to take a leadership role in this process and bring it to a successful conclusion. That's awesome.
You know, it means a lot for us here in Lexington just to be an example for other agencies that they can actually do the same thing. It's all about accountability. You know, you have to have checks and balances in order to know that you're on the right track. And hey, when you see yourself getting off the right track, you know how to get back on the right track by following the standards that are set in place for you.
A lot of our practices have been fine-tuned and honed so that the public should realize better service, but also our employees should appreciate better administrative practices that are going on within the agency as a result of going through this process.
Chris Edwards is here again to fill us in on Lex TV's televised meeting coverage as we get back into the swing of things after the holidays.
Thanks, Neil. Welcome to 2020 and the return of the council meetings and other boards and commission meetings live here on Lex TV. We began this week with Monday's 1:30 p.m. Board of Adjustment meeting. On Tuesday, we have the first council committee meeting of the year with the General Government and Social Services Committee. During this meeting, there will be discussion on Lexington's Fairness Ordinance, as well as a presentation on the city's diversity initiative of our boards and commission members. Following the committee meeting at 3 p.m. will be the council's work session. Now, during this meeting, Mr. James Frazier will give a presentation to council on the Downtown Lexington Management District Renewal Program. This Downtown Lexington Management District is a tax voted in by downtown property owners for the improvements to the downtown area. This tax is coming up for renewal in 2020. On Wednesday at 5 p.m. will be the only Board of Architectural Review meeting for January. Then on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. will be the Planning Commission meeting. This week's agenda items will all be about subdivisions. At 6 p.m. on Thursday will be the first formal council meeting of the year. That's all the meetings we have for this week on Lex TV. But be sure to stay tuned to Lex TV to watch Mayor Gorton's State of the City and County Address live here on Tuesday, January 21st. Mayor Gorton will give her address at noon on Lex TV from the Hyatt Regency's Patterson Ballroom. Also on Monday is the January 20th Dr. Martin Luther King holiday, and the Lex TV staff will be working hard at the commemorative program, which starts at 11 a.m. inside Heritage Hall. This event is free and open to the public.
And that does it for this week, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media, check out the latest traffic updates on Twitter at LexRex, or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it for now.